2 wars, an economic crisis, skyrocketing healthcare costs, a nation divided. Hello, I'm U.S. News Managing Editor Morgan Felchner. Once our country's greatest asset, leaders now seem in short supply. That's why we are celebrating those that make a difference in society with our annual America's Best Leaders. We worked with the Center for Public Leadership at Harvard's Kennedy School to pull together a list of standouts. This year, it reflects the achievements of men and women like Bill and Kathy McGee, who give kids hope through Operation Smile, ex-NBA star David Robinson, who turned his focus to education with the San Antonio-based Carver Academy, the senior non-commissioned officers who lead U.S. forces in Iraq and Afghanistan, and more than a dozen others. But our America's Best Leaders list is just one part of our issue, which is devoted entirely to examining leadership. And as we take a broader look, perhaps the most visible example of modern leadership is President Barack Obama. He swept into office with a message of change and unity. But as David Gergen points out, less than a year later, the country is as sharply divided as under George W. Bush. Obama's critics argue that the president is rushing too fast with too much government and too much debt. U.S. News Chief White House correspondent Ken Walsh recently sat down with President Obama for an exclusive interview.
President Obama has a lot of important decisions to make right now on Afghanistan, healthcare, energy policy, Iran, just to name a few. But the man at the center of the storm seems as confident as ever and seemingly immune from pressure, as illustrated in an interview that I had with the president recently. Among the issues we covered, decision-making that puts American troops in harm's way.
They are paying the ultimate price for our security, and so you better get those decisions right.
The president also reflected on the challenges in the early days of the financial crisis.
Finding a plausible strategy that would steady the markets, give the banks an opportunity to strengthen without papering over the very real problems they were having.
Some Americans are pleased about his cerebral approach because they want their president to base his decisions on careful analysis. Others would like to see more emotion and fire from the president.
From a different perspective, First Lady Michelle Obama penned an essay for us about the need for strong leadership in the classroom. She writes that as she watches her daughters go off to school, she can't help but think that some of the most influential people in their lives won't be the ones they socialize with on the playground or read about in the pages of a book. They will be the people who stand up every day in front of their classrooms. Mrs. Obama acknowledges the reality that fewer people are going into teaching, and she calls on parents, schools, communities, and government to do their part to help reverse the trend. There's certainly no silver bullet to inspire or empower the leaders of the future, but by recognizing the accomplishments of the few, we point out how their lives can be a model for others.